How you all doing?
Doing
We're
good,
doing
dear.
great.
Can you believe it's November?
No, not a blink of the eye, and it's gonna be January.
Less than 60 days from now. Happy 2024. Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. All right, you all remember Eve, our goddess of astrology. There has been some rather notable astrological events. If you're willing to share your expertise, I'm sure be most welcome.
We have the beginning of a cycle and the completion of one both together. It's almost as if an old reality is wanting to leave while a new one is wanting to unfold at the same time.
Would you share which cycle is ending?
We had the last one right before Halloween on the 28th was a lunar eclipse in Taurus with the sun in Scorpio. That was the completing cycle of 2 years. Eclipses give us 3 to 6 months to end something
Ah,
or to work with the energy. And moon in Taurus is an exalted moon. It's about what do you want to build in your life? What garden do you want to create? Because our life is ultimately a garden.
right.
Are we watering it, seeding it, weeding it? How much time are we spending in our garden? You can have your happily ever after, but you've got to build it. When you think about a lunar eclipse, it's funny, it happened going into Halloween, and we have Halloween followed by All Saints Day, followed by All Souls Day, which is Day of the Dead. So we've got 3 days where every year it's significant for the honoring of those that have passed or the dead. Think about what that's about. That's about transition and transmutation. So we had that eclipse, and it is Scorpio. We had a whole sky filled with planets lined up in Scorpio. They still are through November 22nd. And Scorpio is the phoenix. So it's that idea of rising, and the snake is shedding its skin, and it's deep. So the pattern you're going to release, this is Scorpio, it's water. It is an emotional pattern, but then the emotional is connected to the physical because Taurus is a physical energy. So it's showing us that it's our emotional patterns that are driving our physical reality, and vice versa, that our physical reality can also push us into or create an energy where we want to stay in an emotional pattern, or we have fear of leaving that pattern. But it's definitely emotional. And I think for many, it's 2 areas. One, primarily, these are fixed energies. So the issue is emotional safety. Is it safe? I don't know. The upside of Scorpio, side of safety, is building enough self-trust that we each trust that what we're doing is going to lead us to a place that's going to be better than where we are right. So safety, I think, goes along with trust.
Eve, I'm curious. You, as a practitioner, knowing intimately all of these details, how does that impact you personally? What have you noticed that you really are releasing emotionally?
Yes,
Have
it's
you?
an emotional pattern related to building either a friendship or a romantic relationship with me.
Okay.
And the pattern over and over again shows up as they rush in, they show up with bells and whistles in the very beginning, and then it always becomes crumbs.
Fizzles.
It
It
fizzles
tastes.
very quickly. Yep.
Shoots.
Yeah. It seems to be a continuous pattern. So this time, what I did was I went to recognize what is going on here. How are you connecting to me? And I actually purposefully asked them, oh, how are you connecting to me? I don't want to be your therapist. I don't want to be your counselor. I don't want to be your teacher.
Right.
You want to build a friendship? Great. Then the
Beautiful.
answer was no movement.
Wow.
Yeah. And I think the person was a little shell shocked. And what did they do right away in responding? They went into all of their own trauma.
Mm,
My last 6 months have been a blah, 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 blah. And I just looked at it, I go, hey, you obviously have a lot of healing to do. Maybe you should get a therapist. You want to keep harping on the same old story? Keep doing it. It's up to you whenever you want to create a new one.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I disengaged, but it had to happen. I think in order for us to break patterns, we need to somehow feel invested. Something has to pull us in.
Confront them. Yes. Confront what you already know is a pattern. Oh my God, that's very powerful. It takes a lot of risk, doesn't it?
It does. It would have been easy for me to move away from him or distance myself if I wasn't finding myself getting more and more attracted to him
Ah, sure.
because he was saying the right things. There was obviously a very beautiful, gentle soul here, and he was saying the right things.
Yeah.
I think he was aware of it. It's like he wanted to be Superman, but he wasn't.
Right.
And so it's coming to the table, letting the other person know, I have this capacity in me. I want to be that person, but I'm not there yet. And what do you do when you're on the other side of that? That's therapists, right? I don't want to be a therapist.
I'd like to tickle out a nuance that might be a bit meta, which I have a sneaking suspicion Christina and Chelsa will start nodding their heads a little bit. And I have no doubt Cheryl will probably do something similar. But have you noticed, Eve, because of who you are, your wow factor, your energetic field, your auric field, as people experience that for the first time, it wakes up their potential. They see it, they smell it, they taste it. It's possible because they're next to you, physically next to you, and you spark it awake, right? So far, so good.
And I'm fine with that.
And then reality sets in. You no longer are physically close to each other. You're home, or they're away, or they're out of a meeting, or they're no longer in your presence. But then they bump into you again next time. This time that they bump into you, they are aware of the fact that you opened up something in them that they just don't quite know what to do with.
And I think that's the case. Some of us are transformers. I'm a transformer.
Yep.
But when you ask me what the pattern is, that's not the pattern because that's part of my mission.
That's just who you are.
That's just who I am. That's part of my mission. The pattern is I don't want there to be possible romance attached to it.
You want a partner, not a student. You want a partner, not a child. You want someone to grow and add to your life. You've checked the mother box off, right? You've done that, been there. I get that. Yeah.
So I could have done it easier and handled it better without having an emotional effect if there wasn't a realization that in getting to know him over time, and he lives in my complex too.
Oh, wow.
So they put him very close to me in so many
Ooh.
ways. He's showing all the qualities that cosmic being like us women that are awakened that we actually look for in a man.
Cosmic beings, awakened women, powerfully awakened women. Gee, do I know anybody like that? Huh.
So
Any-
yes, you asked for a pattern and yeah, we have to face our own emotional worthiness, unworthiness. What are we willing to give? How do we want to receive?
You talked about recognizing a pattern and addressing it. What do you sense is now new growing in you? You talked about building trust to build that space to move into, to grow. What are you sensing in yourself, Eve, that wow, this is really growing?
Just a deeper belief in myself. And I'm being shown over and over again with situations like this that you cannot compromise on who and what you are.
So your level of confidence is solidifying. You've always been a fairly confident person, but what I'm sensing is your confidence is becoming like a really rich, deep soil that your roots are beginning to deeply grow into. Is that a fair reflection?
Yeah.
And the irony is, ladies and gentlemen, with confidence, confidence is often mistaken for arrogance. People who want to be confident, people who find out you are confident and they want to be confident, but they're afraid of being confident, will give themselves permission to call you arrogant so that they don't have to address their own lack of confidence. Anybody ever experienced that?
Definitely.
Definitely.
It's nerve rattling because in those moments where people tell me, and I have had this happen on more than one occasion, Soul, you are such an arrogant asshole. I've now learned to say, okay, I hear you. I want to affirm what you're saying. I hear you're saying I'm an arrogant asshole. Can I have your permission to act arrogant in the way that I understand arrogance to be? Do I have your permission to be what I think is arrogant with you? How many people do you think have ever given me that permission?
Definitely not smart.
The bomb that would be lowered if I were to be what I would be considered arrogant would shred them. I know it would shred them. I would unleash everything I have in a less than positive light, puree them, kick them to the curb, and say, have a nice day. Now, what would that accomplish? Right? That's just giving my ego way too much power. And I refuse to do that. Absolutely refuse to do that.
If you were to do that, you would actually become the arrogance.
Yes, I would mirror back to them. Now, the only way I would even remotely do that if they gave me permission is saying, after the fact, you are going to hire me to work through your own arrogance. So before I am arrogant with you, get your credit card out because we're going to get into it.
Okay, topic turn change.
I'm going to fess up. I'm repeating a pattern. Over the years, and I would certainly appreciate you all's feedback on this, it is becoming more clear to me that the content that I expose you to and either learn to receive or pay me what I'm worth, to me, I view it as a hearty banquet, a beautiful banquet table. But what I'm learning is for most people, I'm presenting you the Pacific Ocean and Mount Everest at the same time. Is that self-reflection accurate, Christina?
Yeah.
Yo,
Okay. Chelsa
Yeah, it is.
and Cheryl.
Yes, I would have to say that it is. It's overwhelming when you look at the whole thing, but when you take it one step at a time, then it works out. It's good.
The pattern to answer, Eve, your question about office hours. Next year, providing I have 10 people registered at $32 a month, and each person wants to come into an office hour event, yep, we'll have office hours. I'm aware of the fact that what I'm about to present in 2024's newsletter series, 53 unique guided meditations, is probably a decade's worth of content, easily, very easily. And I am aware of the fact that that needs support, and I am more than happy to provide whatever support is necessary. Part of my teaching, one of the things that I do to make sure that I'm not controlling a pattern that I am diligently working on. And everybody here in this event, I have the illusion you've watched me release more control as you've gotten to know me over the years. Is that a fair self-reflection?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes.
I would say so.
Part of my design as a teacher, I'm aware of the fact that I'm providing a lot of content. At the same time, if I were to try and parse it out at whatever speed, that's me controlling. That's me thinking, oh, you need more time. And I refuse to do that. I'm going to present you with the Pacific Ocean. It's up to you to decide how you're going to pace yourself. You are going to feel overwhelmed. You are going to think, I can't do this. You are going to feel that. But when you do, let's talk about that. Let's process it. Because I have heard people say, so I wish you would do pay me what I'm worth in a much different format. Let people go on their own pace. Fine.
The routine I'm letting go is teaching classes in a traditional way. The traditional way is to start at the front of the book, work our way to the end of the book. Now, the change. Buy the book, work through the book however you like. Need help? RSVP for an office hour. That's my response to the two questions we're exploring. Now, Cheryl's turn.
What came up for you in our opening salvo? What are you releasing right now? What do you sense you're getting to that point? You know what? I'm done. I'm really done with this. Is there something that's coming to mind that you now are more conscious of?
I am trying to be more aware and have faith in the universe and trust that everything's going to work out just fine. I'm at a crossroad. What shall I do with the property? I am going back and forth with myself, and I know I just have to let it go, and I know that the universe will provide. It's just that little step that I'm really working on. Keep beating myself over the head. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It'll be fine. It works out. When one door closes, another one opens, and it's going to be a better one. That's where I'm at today.
So your trickster, your old trickster, trying to reignite doubt. Yeah.
Yeah, trying. Keeping my whip out. No, back off.
Those tricksters, doubt, guilt, shame, and worry. Just when I think I've got it to a point to I'm finally clear of those creatures, they get more creative.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Well, what do you think is beginning for you? Is where you're leaving off with trusting that the right person's going to show up? What you sense is beginning is a whole new phase of independence?
Yeah. And I'm hoping that I can really find somebody that I can work with. We can project the property into what I've seen it to be, not what it is right now.
Ah,
So looking forward to it. Yeah.
tap into the potential of your land. Yes. Yep. That is a very common Puna journey.
Yeah. Yes, that's true. Very daunting to go up there and see it right now, but I know there's better stuff coming in the future with it. I know it'll work out good.
Are
It's the craziest thing. Christine and I had such a similar conversation this morning. Um, One thing that I am working on is exploring definitely control issues for sure, but also exploring on a new way of learning. I have a goal of this next year to become the conversation about death and dying, grief and loss, grief on a lifespan perspective. And now I'm a big picture thinker, so I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to go do this and this. And Christina's helping me discern the best way to get started.
so you're letting
So
go your bubble.
I am trying to claw my way out of that bubble. It's a thick bubble. So it's a very thick bubble. But she's helping me see that my transformation into what I see my goal is that transforming out of who I have been taught to be and learned to be and the way I learn is going to be a journey, but that is what it's going to take for me to transform, to reach the most people that I want to reach.
So what's beginning for you is allowing people to know you.
Yes. As Christina put it, my soft underbelly. You know about a lot about my childhood, a lot of things you don't know. I've not had a soft underbelly since I was probably 5 years old. So
Right.
all that armor I'm trying to peel away now. And it absolutely gets back to being vulnerable with who I am and being willing to be vulnerable with others.
She is definitely a good teacher. She teaches by example, doesn't she? It's hard not to learn when you've got somebody constantly living with you.
This is true. This is true.
I appreciate that, Chelsa. Let me see if I can put a bow on this regarding what you just shared in relationship to the journey that we've taken together. What do you sense is the one facet of your self-worth that has really blossomed since we've crossed paths? Is there one particular facet that has finally shined more brightly than you thought ever possible when it comes to your sense of worth?
Confidence in myself. As we discussed this morning, I can speak to so many different aspects of life in a deeper, connected way and talk about things that no one else is talking about right now. And that's what I'm developing.
So you're uncorking your confidence. I don't sense you've ever not been confident. What I have sensed is how you train, filter,
Yes.
drip your confidence.
Yes.
You don't let people have it.
Exactly. Exactly. I am the queen of many things.
And now you're letting go of the need to control any of it. Yes. Excellent.
I'm really trying. I really am. I am letting go the notion of ever knowing, understanding, or being able to control the capacity of anything. I'm letting go the need to know everything. And I am absolutely enjoying allowing limitlessness to carry the moment because I'm trusting, I think, in a way that I've never trusted myself, my wisdom, and my discernment. And I think to that speaks the growth in my self-worth. Because what used to be an understanding of a capacity of my self-worth, I now understand that I have no way of knowing the depth of my self-worth and that capacity. And nor do I want to in any way pigeonhole it by trying to put it into a perfect, pretty little box for the ease and comfort of both myself and the world. I'm just going to live into it and allow it to be what it needs to be in that moment. And I think that is probably one of my greatest areas of growth these days.
Wow. Oh, you're letting yourself out of prison,
Yeah.
which is preparing you to really dive into what? What is it you sense you're ready to say, bring it?
I am ready to challenge the understanding of lived experience and how I choose to perpetuate the very systems and institutions that I find to be toxic and harmful and problematic. I think the insidious nature of the way we live is what I'm ready to tackle. It's not a simple, easy conversation because I know I do, and I think it's probably an epidemic that we in general tend to live so unaware and have a lack of consciousness that we don't understand our impact in our volunteering role in all of the things that we all hate and complain about. So that is what I'm ready to tackle. That is what I am tackling. And I'm certainly learning the patience in doing so, even with myself.
Your timing is perfect because we need so much more of that. And I say that with an awareness that one thing that Eve did not mention that I wish we'd had more time to talk about, but between now and the year 2027. Now, by sharing what I'm about to share, it is not my desire to plant seeds to make it happen or to predetermine anything. This is just basically what professional astrologers are sharing across the board. This is what I'm getting in the connections that I have in my daily meditations. One thing that gets my attention is when multiple individual sources that have absolutely, in my understanding, no real connection with each other all start saying the same theme. Their messaging, their theme is similar. That's what I'm about to share with you. We are in for what is basically the climax. You know how in the movie you have that grand finale, the climax, the bombs blowing up, the people getting married and living happy ever after. You got the big event coming. There is a concept called the chaotic node that was presented to me through a, a entity called the Hothers, who has been presented to the world by an individual by the name of Tom Kenyon. And if you want links to any of this, hit me up. In a nutshell, the dimension that we're in, the time that we're in, we are in the apex of a chaotic node. Between now and 2027, the full arrival of the Aquarian age, just about every major institution that we have grown up in is going to either crumble dramatically or is going to see the light and evolve dramatically. There is no middle ground. The result being, if you're lacking any sense of grounding, chaos, and that is the reason why I did an entire year of focusing on chaos to clarity. Clarity is your vaccine to chaos. Clarity, becoming more clear. Yes, you'll be in chaos, but you won't be of chaos. You're going to be riding the top of the wave, so to speak, like the surfer who gets on top of that big curl. You're going to ride the chaos. It's not going to pound you. You becoming more confident, you becoming more able to be who you are clearly with no reservations. You're going to be more than fine over the next few years. But as you said earlier, there are just too many people living unconsciously. Yeah.
Yeah, and if
Yeah.
I may speak to that
hmm
question that you asked earlier about you're introducing topics that are huge, that you're now becoming clear that are a lot more complex than you give them credit for because where you are in your life.
Right.
I just want to speak to that for clarity for those people who are not, who since they don't have a lot of clarity, they're seeking so much clarity. Take it from one who has spent way too many years relearning this lesson. The clarity comes from a sense that give yourself permission to not try to identify boundaries of clarity and allow yourself to clear your bandwidth so that the moments of clarity that do come into your life, in your consciousness, you're actually able to recognize, integrate, and reflect on so that you can continue to go deeper, grow, and model for the world. That is, I think, for me, the recipe for being able to ripple.
Very diplomatically shared. Now, if I were to remove the diplomatic filter, if I give you permission to just say it like it is, what would be that message?
You don't know what the hell you don't know. You have no idea what the hell you're supposed to learn. And regardless of what you believe as far as a faith in a higher power, whatever one's faith or belief is, there is a source energy to this universe that we just have no idea of. And the beauty of it, I think, is that it's like an orchestra, and you have the composer. You have all these individuals playing their individual craft, and together it makes this beautiful symphony. I think our universal force power is leveraging us and using us in the same way to ripple as we're supposed to. I have things that I'm supposed to ripple. Chelsea has things she's supposed to ripple. Everybody on this call has individual, unique gifts that they're supposed to ripple. Get the hell out of the way of it and allow the clarity to come as it's supposed to. And the best part about you not knowing what that clarity is supposed to be is that you ever heard the term save you from yourself?
Oh, yeah.
It's saving us from ourselves, our tendency to do the human things that we tend to do. I think if there's a wisdom that I'm deploying for myself, it is literally that. My tendency to want to have risk aversion here, or my tendency to want to make it comfortable for that, or my tendency to all of the human things that are understandable that we've come to experience and know, we get a, as you call it, a get out of jail free card if we just allow. And I guess that's the best way for me to describe it.
So then I'm going to take that as an affirmation to continue to suggest to people, explore more, analyze less.
Yeah. And even when you say that, that isn't as simple, because guess what? We don't understand or know, we're not aware of what explore more and analyze less means. This aha hit me this morning. It's the curse of the generational teaching too, right?
Yes.
Because when you're born into this world as this big super ego, this big id, everything we know is the world revolves around us. I scream, I cry, I cuckoo, whatever I do, that everybody around me reacts to me. They feed me, they change me, they bathe me, they love on me, they smile with me. And then all of a sudden I get to this age, around about 2, where all of a sudden I'm abruptly told, no, like everything isn't about you. You got to learn to share your toys. You got to share your clothes. You got to share attention.
Here's your
Explain to you-
pants.
Yeah. Nobody explains to you what, when, what, where, why, and how. They just say do it. And you're like, but wait a minute. That ain't what just yesterday that ain't the way, the law of the land. And then you continue to grow. And as you continue to grow and age, there is more in the world, in the culture, in the experience that says counterintuitive to what you started off knowing, what you started off being affirmed. It literally is nothing but a bunch of paradox. And there's never any understanding, explanation. It's just do it. We're even taught this is how you learn. This is how you think. Now we literally say, don't do as everybody does. If Johnny jumps off a bridge, are you going to jump off a bridge? No. But there's a level to it, because at the same token, you hear, you got to just leap in life and take a chance and grow. So there's all these counter messaging, and there's nothing in between that helps us connect the dots to any of it. I'm not even sure how I got on this rant, but you feel what I'm saying.
But folks, I'm laughing because if you're new to Soul University, if you have not experienced a Soul University class,
Yeah.
at some point in your journey in the class, you're just waiting. All right, when's he going to tee it up? What's it going to be? That goes back to what I shared in the beginning. What I envision as not that much for me, what is not that much for others, is literally mind shattering. For me to let go of doubt, guilt, shame, and worry because of my training as a monk and a shaman, I'm able to let go of doubt, guilt, shame, and worry with as easy as I breathe. Now, you coming into a class with no tools whatsoever, even the notion you can let go of doubt, guilt, shame, or worry is anathema, right? It's a non sequitur. What are you talking about? How do you let go of doubt, for crying out loud? I mean, is that fair reflections?
Yeah.
Definitely.
I'm going to add to that clarity. I have been blessed with an extraordinary string of teachers that have allowed me to have a sense of clarity that right now I'm getting goosebumps on my arms, all over my body. I'm getting goosebumps. I have clarity. I have a knowing, an absolute to the bone knowing. Each and every sentient being on the planet are gods and goddesses, period. As you mentioned, we all have something to bring to the table. We all have a unique piece of the puzzle to our evolution. Is that an accurate reflection?
Yes.
To bring that to the table, whether you decide to bring it to the table or not, is your first choice, isn't it? How you bring it to the table is a choice.
I think there are choices before then, but yeah, it's one of
What
the
would
first.
what would be some of the other choices that you're aware of?
I honestly think the first choice, it comes down to two questions that you must answer yes to have transformational growth. And that's, are you willing to get uncomfortable? And are you willing to release what doesn't serve you?
Of course, you don't have any firsthand experience of that.
Uh, there is no getting to the next questions of the hows and the whats and the whens. If you can't answer yes to those two things, you'll never get to the other ones. You'll always continue to bop your head on some virtual wall there. Because again, when you're young, your family, your parents, they do the best they can with what they have, with what they know. And so they say you can do anything you want to do in life. And then they also say in the very next breath, you can't do that. You have to go to school. You have to do this. You have to do that. You have to do it. Blah, 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 blah. It's not because they don't believe in you sometimes, but they're more than less, they are afraid for you. They want to protect you from the pains and the scary things without teaching you to sharpen your discernment, sharpen your internal wisdom along with that. So I've learned to be actually more comfortable in the discomfort these days and talk about some irony and paradox.
So heads up, ladies and gentlemen, just fair warning, if you happen to hop into Christina's circle, she's going to stir some shit up.
There is. Absolutely. It's your fault, so.
I accept full responsibility. All right. I have some housekeeping stuff to share, but before I share that, reflections on our journey today. Anything that comes to mind?
Yeah, take this last quarter of the year, going into the holidays, going into the times when you are around your loved ones that you love so much, but you really can't stand all at the same time. Those ones where you're trying to figure out how you can avoid them at so and so dinner or gathering. All of those, take those opportunities to select data and inform rather than avoid, judge. Just collect the data and observe it.
I totally agree with Christina's rant. And it was interesting. I had never really thought about like a baby coming in and everybody thinking it's perfect and everybody not asking anything from it, but just thinking it's the world. And then all of a sudden, things are required of it and the whole life changes. It's interesting thought.
A
That was
new reflection. I love it.
yeah.
As always, thank you for diving in and having swim in the deep end of the pool. You know how I love swimming in the deep end of the pool. So thank you for that. I do have some housekeeping items.
Check out the description below to learn more about our upcoming Holiday Blues Buster series, as well as our 2024 newsletter series focused on releasing doubt, guilt, shame, and worry. See you in class.